Okay, hi and welcome to the last majuscule of the Copperplate Majuscules series. This is for the letter Z. So today I have a speedball oblique holder with a Gilot 303 nib inside. It is a vintage nib, so I don't have acrylic ink today. I have watercolor ink inside. The 303 it's quite a delicate nib, but it's not as springy as a 404, so I do tend to see more people that prefer the 404 over the 303, but I like them both. So for a Z is a tall letter. I'm going to start off with a universal line of beauty. Just going to go right along here. I'm going to stop right there because we've got a lot of elements to keep up with in a Z. I'm going to move that slightly over so I'm a bit more centralized. So it's sort of similar to a D in that you start with a universal line of beauty and you can do it all at once. And for some parts of it you are working backwards. Okay. Okay, not bad. All right, let me clean off my nib really quick. Although you do have a lot more of rigidity with a 303 compared to a 404, it is a vintage nib, so you do need to take quite fastidious care of it. So I'll just clean that off and make sure that we're all right. Okay, so in a Z, you've obviously got your universal line of beauty right here. So if I put that right there, you've got your U-lob. And that is 2 times your X height. So my X height is 5 mil, and the height of my letter is 2 times that. There you go. So my X height here is 5. The height of my letter goes to 10 above, and the descender will go to 10 below. Okay, so that's how to balance it in terms of height. I have seen it where it's dropped shorter, so instead of this being almost like 3 X heights high, I've seen it 2, and then with a shorter descender. I can't say for sure that that's the most popular way. I have seen it more commonly done this way, but you know, if it looks better with the writing that you have, it does all depend on circumstance. So if you can get this little middle section, if you can afford to put that here, drop this shorter, then by all means go for it. But the more common way to see it is this way. I've obviously got in here, if you've watched my other videos, a very easily spottable enclosed oval right in here, and another one right in here. So I've got 2 ovals. They should be parallel along the slant line. That one's pointing that way. That one's pointing that way. There we go. So they should be along the slant line, which should be parallel to at least the middle third of your universal line of beauty. So what you have to remember from here is that although it can be done in one stroke, in order to do it in one stroke means that this bit right here is going to be on a downstroke, and the temptation then is to keep this the darker or the thicker line, and that's not going to work, purely because if I do it the wrong way, then I can show you, which means cleaning my nib before was pointless, but never mind. Pop that right there, we go. Just make sure I'm in focus. Yeah, I've still got time and space. There we go. So if I start out with I do find this harder because it's harder to balance when you don't know the space that you've got. Okay, so obviously me going backwards for that space is not shown off a great thing, but you can see from my example here that this must be light if it is darker like that. So if it has a darker shade on it, I'll just clean this off really quickly, otherwise I'm going to be in hot water later. I did just order some new nibs as well, so I've got to keep a hold of them. Okay, so if this is dark and this is dark, then this area is going to become too dramatic. It's gonna draw too much attention. So the order, I think I'm still in frame, there I am, which is all right. So the order here must go so thick, thin, thick, otherwise too dramatic. What I mean by dramatic is that it's going to draw attention, and it's going to draw attention away from the legibility of your letter. For a Z, it's kind of hard to see where the legibility is. It's kind of the same with a G. Because it is a longer letter, your legibility sections are going to be here, purely because it's quite a it's an individual characteristic of a majuscule here. There aren't very many with this component, obviously like a capital B, but it's not an integral part of the letter. So for a Z, you should have if I zoom in a lot, then we'll be able to see a little bit more. There we go. So we should have the same amount of space here as here, roughly. If you've got something wildly different, obviously you can't go too far over this way. So my universal line is there. I'm only going out by, you know, a couple of millimeters, but if you go too far over, that's going to make it look top heavy like a J. So you want to limit how far to the right your letter is going at the top. So if we say do not, I think I'm not in frame there we go. Do not go too far. To the right. Upper right hand side. There we go. Otherwise it's going to look top heavy. And then the same here. If you go much further over, so if I swung this, I mean I can do it on this one. If I swung this really far over, it's going to start to look like an L. And it's gonna, I mean, if I cover that up, that's gonna look exactly like an L. So it's gonna lose the legibility of your letter. Obviously this is a very older style Z. What we would expect to see from modern Zs is effectively a backwards line of universal beauty. So going, instead of leaning forwards, it would be sort of leaning backwards. That's not really very possible. I've seen some people do it, but it involves turning the paper, and it's not something that I've seen that I particularly like how it flows with other letters, but by all means it can be done. You know, if I move this up and do it in monoline right here. So for a Z, you'd obviously have, can I fit it there? I can fit it there, okay. But then obviously this line is completely made up, otherwise it is an L. And although I have seen it, it just never flows well with me. So if we've got something, oh, I don't know, if we've got don't know. So if we've got something with high ascenders right here, it's gonna make this angle look odd because you want to keep everything along that slant line so much that it makes this seem weird. And it never flows right for me. So I tend to stick to the older style. It's a lot more measurable, a lot more formulaic, which suits me better. But if you can make it work, by all means, you know, I'm not telling people what not to do. It's more sort of how to tweak what you've already got. Okay, so we've obviously got on the bottom half, we've got a contained oval right here. I went through that. And we have what would basically be like a descending loop on the bottom, like something on the bottom of a Y or a J. And it means that I've done half an oval. I've stopped right here at the 6 o'clock. We can stop here if you want to. I'll zoom back out a little bit. There we go. So I can put that right there. I've gone a bit far over, haven't I? So stop at 6 o'clock if you want to. Oh, I can't fit a clock in there. Put that there. So you can stop at 6 o'clock if you want to, and then turn your descender around so that you're making basically a very, very long entry stroke, and this section right here should be parallel to your slant line. So this is looking parallel to this line right here. Yeah, so almost all of this section are two parallel lines because I've got the time here to set that up. Okay, I'm also trying to cross this at the halfway point approximately. So obviously here are the limits of my ovals. So you can see I've just overshadowed a tiny bit, but the God will forgive me, I'm sure. If you try and cross as close to halfway as you can, that's going to create a much nicer looking descender here. And it'll also, if you're crossing here, it gives you loads of space in order to be able to create that parallel line. It'll feel really, really long when you're writing it. It is a big letter. It's a lot of mileage to cover. I think I did it better on my second one, actually. There we go. Yeah. Oh, I nailed it. Look at that. Yeah, so my halfway point I've crossed over. And I'm trying to make this parallel. Okay, so the Zs don't come up very often at all. They are flourishable. Obviously, you cannot flourish in the two smaller ovals that I've talked about, here and here. This is a flourishable area right here. So I could put flourish here or something, couldn't I? My end frame? Oh, just. There we go. Flourish. Yeah, you can flourish there. You can flourish at the bottom also. Ooh, I wonder if I can just... Ooh. There we go. So we can flourish at the top and bottom. So most of the flourishing is going to happen on the left-hand side of this. Although you can swing this wider. I have seen it before, and I did do it in practice also. There we go. All right, so if we're coming in to do a normal majuscule of Z, but if I swing it wider at the bottom, is that enough? Is that 5? I think I could fit about 5 in there. Yeah, somewhere there. Okay. Okay, now I can stop at my 6 o'clock if I wanted to. But obviously I did not. And I haven't dropped this down as far down as I would have liked to be honest. Something there I think is about right. I think I did it so much over there somewhere. Never mind. So obviously in here you can swing it wider. I find it works really well if you've got you know, like a name. That's a really nice flourishable thing to be able to do because it can go across the whole bottom of the name and sort of underline it. You obviously need to pay attention to the amount that you're going above and below. So whatever this is the same amount that you should be going up. So you can see that on my first attempt I didn't go down low enough, which is why I corrected it. But it should be about equal. Yeah. And obviously your crossover point should be as close to 90 degrees as possible. I feel like I've been through that enough times. If I put that right here, 90 degrees ish. Obviously we're limited by the slant lines, so we're never going to get it perfect, but we can give it a good go. I've obviously got here as well, actually no, I took through my bloody black pen as well. Of course I did. Give me 2 seconds, I'll grab another one. Right, so obviously on here I've got what I'm trying to get is equivalent distance between these 2 points, so that it looks roughly even in terms of spacing. So I'm bisecting that negative space here as well, so I can put that as a little note as well. Looks alright in the black actually. I've been avoiding using black as like a coloured pen because I didn't think it would be that clear, but so if I go bisect, yeah, I'm alright, I'm in frame there. Bisect the, oh, I think I can just about get to there. The negative space. Okay, so you should also have, if you're doing a loop at the bottom, what is important to notice is that this middle loop should be, even if you're doing the horizontal, so if we're doing the horizontal one and we're crossing at the halfway point, we should have an equal distance here between top and bottom. It should give this middle section enough room to breathe, if that makes any sense at all. So you can't bisect this area. I think you could potentially bisect here, but I think it would affect the legibility of your letter. So I think your legibility box for me is here, and I wouldn't touch any of that. So you can see we can flourish off to the left, we can flourish on the bottom all we want, but as long as that area is not touched, I think you'll be tickety-boo. So I think that's about it for a Z. Please let me know of any names or interesting words that you're working on. I'm happy to share thoughts. I'm happy to share practice. Have a good day elsewise.